All right, ready to dive in. Today, we're cracking open How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Boothman.
Ooh, good one.
This book, let me tell you, it's packed with insights on making those connections that really count, personally and professionally.
I think what's interesting is how Boothman goes beyond just like surface level advice.
Right.
He really digs into the psychology of it all. Why do certain things just click?
Totally. And he starts right off the bat with this idea. You have 90 seconds. Just 90 seconds to nail a first impression. Kind of a crazy thought, right?
Yeah, a little intimidating.
It is, but understanding that, I think, is crucial, especially these days when everyone's so busy.
Makes sense if you think about how much is coming at us constantly. Our brains are like, gotta make snap judgments.
Exactly. But Boothman says, hey, let's use that to our advantage. Let's be intentional about those first few moments.
I like that. So how do we do it? Spill the secrets.
Well, he's got this 5-step process, the 5-part greeting, he calls it. It's all about those subtle cues.
Oh, those unspoken things that say so much.
Exactly. And it starts with, get this, open. Open. Yeah, think open posture. Unbutton that jacket. Face them directly. Hands visible. It's like you're subconsciously saying, hey, I'm approachable.
I see. No barriers.
Right. And then comes, wait for it, eye.
Eye contact.
You got it. But he says, be the first. Make that eye contact first.
That's interesting. Could go either way, though, couldn't it?
Yeah, how do you make sure it's welcoming, not, like, intense?
That's where Beam comes in.
The smile.
The smile. You put those two together, direct eye contact and a genuine smile, it completely changes the vibe.
Oh, yeah, that makes a difference.
It's like disarming.
It is.
And then, of course, the hi.
Basic, but important, I guess.
Well, yeah, but he emphasizes the energy, a pleasant tone, and, oh, this is key. Use your name.
Oh, your own name. I never thought about that.
It's like, I'm not just anyone. I'm your name. Nice to meet you.
It personalizes it instantly.
Exactly. And then the final piece, lean.
Lean in.
Yep, a subtle lean, like, I'm interested. Tell me more.
It's amazing how these little things can convey so much.
Isn't it all those nonverbal cues?
So you nail those 5 steps. You've got a pretty solid foundation.
Okay. But then how do you build on that? How do you really get that connection going?
Well, he talks about this idea, rapport by design.
Rapport by design. That sounds, I don't know, almost a little manipulative.
I know, right? But it's not like that. It's more about intentionally syncing up with the other person.
Syncing up, like matching their energy?
Yeah, their vibe, their pace.
Yeah.
Not changing it, just meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
Oh, so like if they're talking fast and I deliberately slow down.
Might not work so well, you're out of sync.
Got it.
Like dancing,
Oh, I like that analogy. You're moving together, but you're still you.
Right. And Boothman has this great story about using this technique with a lawyer he knew.
Oh, tell me, what happened?
So they were on a ski lift together, just small talk. But this time, Boothman decided to try this syncing up thing.
Subtly, I assume.
Yeah. Posture, gestures, even tone of voice. And guess what?
Did it work?
The lawyer actually started opening up. They had a real conversation for the first time.
Wow. That's powerful,
Yeah.
just from mirroring a bit.
It was more than mirroring, though. It was about creating this sense of harmony.
Makes you think. I wonder how good I am at that naturally.
Well, he says it takes practice, finding that balance.
Yeah.
But it can really deepen a connection.
Okay, so you've got the greeting, you're syncing up. What comes next?
He talks a lot about the art of conversation, asking the right questions.
Oh, that's something I'm always trying to get better at.
Yeah.
Especially avoiding those awkward silences.
Well, he calls them conversation generators, these questions, and the key is they're open-ended.
Okay, so not, did you have a good weekend? Which, let's face it, usually gets a one-word answer.
Right. More like, what was the highlight of your weekend, Give him a chance to elaborate.
That makes them think.
Yeah, and it shows you're genuinely interested.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
But it's not just about asking, right? It's about how you listen, too.
Absolutely. Active listening, he calls it. And it's not just hearing, it's really engaging with what they're saying.
Okay, so how do we become better at that? I'm all ears.
He points to a few things. First, pay attention to the nonverbal cues. Are they leaning in, avoiding eye contact?
Like reading their body language.
Exactly. And then give them feedback. Show you're not just hearing the words, but you're getting it.
Like, I see you, I hear you.
Yeah, and little things like nodding, maintaining that eye contact, even little verbal cues like, or oh,
I do that all the time. It's just natural, I guess.
Well, it's effective. Boothman calls them primal sighs and international grunts. Sounds funny, but...
It works. Like, tell me more, without actually saying it.
Exactly. And all of that adds up to making them feel heard.
Which is really the basis for any strong connection.
It is.
Okay, we've got the greeting, we're syncing, asking good questions, listening actively. Anything else?
Oh, there's more, and this is where it gets really fascinating. Boothman introduces this idea of sensory preferences.
Sensory preferences. Now I'm curious.
He says, basically, we all experience the world mainly through one of three senses: visual, auditory, or kinesthetic.
Okay, yeah. Some people are very visual, others are all about the sounds.
Right. And knowing that, he says, can totally change how you connect with someone.
So, like, how do I talk to someone who's super visual? Do I use more imagery?
Exactly. Words like see, imagine, even using your hands to, paint a picture.
I see what you mean. Literally. And for someone who's auditory?
Think about the sound of your voice, maybe a little more rhythmic language.
And for kinesthetic, is it about, like, touch?
Could be. Phrases like get a handle on it or I have a gut feeling, creating a cozy atmosphere.
So you're speaking their language, but in a deeper way.
Exactly. It's about tapping into their dominant sense.
But how do you figure that out? Do you just ask them straight up, like, hey, are you a visual person?
You could, but Boothman's all about subtle observation. Pay attention to their language, their metaphors, their eye movements.
So you're like a detective of human behavior.
Kind of. It's about those little clues that tell you how they experience the world.
Fascinating. Okay, so let's say I've figured it out. How do I actually use that to build rapport? Got any examples?
Sure. Let's say you're talking to someone who's visual and you're giving a presentation.
Okay, what would I do differently?
Instead of just talking, use visuals. Charts, graphs, maybe even sketch something out on a whiteboard.
Give them something to see, not just hear.
And use vivid descriptions, let them picture it in their mind.
Okay, and for an auditory person?
Maybe some soft background music, a calming soundscape. And when you talk, think about your tone, your rhythm.
Like I'm composing a piece of music with my words.
Exactly. And for kinesthetic, think comfortable environment, maybe a warm drink they can hold.
Appeal to their sense of touch.
And use more physical gestures yourself. Maybe even a light touch on the arm to emphasize something.
Oh, interesting. But you'd have to be careful with that, right? Boundaries and all.
Absolutely. Read the situation, be respectful.
Context is everything.
Yeah.
But this is so cool. So you're saying we can actually tailor our communication to resonate with someone better.
That's the idea. And, it's not about being fake.
Right.
It's about using these tools to be more effective, more genuine.
Like enhancing your natural abilities.
Exactly. And Boothman actually talks about this with his own wife. He's auditory, she's kinesthetic.
Oh, so different ways of experiencing the world. Did that cause problems?
Early on, yeah. They'd argue and he'd try to talk it out, typical auditory, but she needed that physical, emotional connection.
To feel heard on a deeper level.
Right. And he realized to really connect with her during those times, she had to speak his language.
Use his sensory preference to get through to him.
Yeah. She'd say things like, "You're not listening," and that's when he could actually tune in.
Wow. So this isn't just for casual conversations. It can even help with, like, relationship conflicts.
Exactly. It's about understanding how the other person experiences the world.
And being flexible.
Yeah.
You can't always rely on your own preferred way.
Exactly. And that's a skill you can develop, like anything else.
Okay, so we've got the greeting, syncing up, asking questions, active listening, and now sensory preferences. This is a lot to take in.
It is, but it's all about building those genuine connections, isn't it?
It is. Makes you think about all the ways we communicate, even without realizing it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you start to break it down. It's like you're saying, I'm with you. I'm right here.
Right, and that can go such a long way.
It really can. And verbally, you can throw in things like, tell me more about that, or that's so interesting.
Or even just like, or oh.
Yeah, those little things. Boothman actually calls them, get this, primal sighs and international grunts.
Okay, that's hilarious.
I know, right? But they work. They show you're engaged.
Oh, totally. Sometimes just a well-placed, can keep the conversation going.
Yeah, it encourages them to keep sharing.
And it all goes back to making that connection.
It does. That's really the foundation.
So we've got the greeting, we're syncing up, asking good questions, listening actively. I feel like I'm already leveling up my communication game.
That's great. But there's more. And this is where Boothman gets into some really cool stuff.
Okay, lay it on me. What else is there?
He talks about sensory preferences.
The sensory preferences, I have no idea what that means.
Okay, so he says that each of us kind of experiences the world through one main sense, visual, auditory, or kinesthetic.
Okay, yeah, like some people are very visual.
Exactly. And knowing that, he says, can totally change how you communicate with someone.
How so? Like if someone's very visual, I should use more imagery.
Bingo. Words like see, look, imagine. Maybe even use your hands when you're talking like you're painting a picture.
Ah, so you're literally speaking their language, but on a sensory level.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about someone who's more auditory?
Think about the sound of your voice. Use more rhythmic language. Maybe even incorporate some music into the setting.
Interesting. And for kinesthetic?
Think touch, feeling. Use phrases like get a handle on it or I have a gut feeling. Create a comfortable physical space.
So we're tapping into their dominant sense.
Yeah.
Like that. But how do you figure out someone's preference? Do you just come right out and ask, hey, are you a visual person?
Aha. You could. But Boothman's all about observing. Pay attention to their language, their metaphors, their eye movement.
Okay, so I need to be a bit of a detective.
A little bit. Look for clues about how they perceive the world.
I see. So let's say I figured it out. What then? How do I actually use this to build rapport?
Okay, let's say you're trying to connect with a visual person. You're giving a presentation, and you want to make a real impact.
Okay, how would I approach that differently?
Well, instead of just talking at them, use visuals. Charts, graphs, even images. Maybe sketch out an idea on a whiteboard.
Give their eyes something to feast on.
Yeah, and use vivid language. Let them see what you're describing.
Gotcha. What about someone who's auditory?
Think about creating a soothing soundscape. Maybe
Yeah.
some soft music in the background.
Okay, and what about the way I'm actually speaking?
Use a clear, engaging tone. Vary your pitch and cadence to keep them interested. Maybe sprinkle in some sound-related metaphors.
It's like I'm creating a symphony of words. I love it. And for kinesthetic.
It's all about creating a comfortable environment. Make sure the temperature's good, the seating is comfy. Maybe offer them a drink.
Appeal to their sense of touch.
Exactly. And maybe use some physical gestures while you're talking. Even a light touch on the arm, if appropriate, to emphasize a point.
Okay, I can see how that could work. But you'd have to be careful about personal space.
Oh, absolutely. Read the situation. You don't want to make anyone uncomfortable.
For sure. But this is so fascinating. It's like a whole new level of communication.
It is. But, at the end of the day, it's not about being fake.
Right.
It's about using these tools to be more genuine, more effective.
Enhancing what you already have.
Exactly. And Boothman actually talks about this with his own wife. He's auditory and she's kinesthetic.
Oh, so they have very different ways of experiencing the world. Did that cause any challenges for them?
It did, especially early on. They'd have arguments and he'd try to talk things through, which is classic auditory. But she needed that physical, emotional connection.
She needed more than just words.
Right. And he finally realized that to really connect with her during those moments, she needed to speak his language, use his sensory preference.
Wow. So she'd say things like, you're not listening, so he would actually tune in.
Yeah. And that's when they could actually work through things.
It's incredible that this stuff can even help with relationship conflicts.
It can, because it's all about understanding how the other person experiences the world.
And being adaptable. You can't always rely on your own preferred way of communicating.
Exactly. It's a skill you can develop, just like anything else.
Okay, so we've covered the greeting, syncing up, asking questions, active listening, and now sensory preferences. I feel like we've covered so much ground already.
We have. But it's also valuable when it comes to building those genuine connections, right?
It is. It's made me think about communication in a whole new way.
That's great. It's amazing what you discover when you start paying attention to these things.
It really is, and I think this is a perfect place to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more insights from Nicholas Boothman's How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. Don't go anywhere.
And it really does make you realize how much is going on beneath the surface,
Totally. It's like a whole secret language we're all speaking.
Exactly. So, we've talked about what to do when things are clicking, but what about when they're not?
Ah, yes. The dreaded awkward encounters. Is there a Boothman strategy for those too?
He actually talked about that. Sometimes, he says, personalities just clash no matter what you do.
Okay, so it's not always me. It's reassuring to know that sometimes it's just not a good fit.
Yeah, exactly. And in those cases, he actually encourages a graceful exit.
So recognizing when it's just not going to work and moving on.
Right. Not every interaction has to be a deep connection. That's fine.
That makes sense. So we've talked about what to do when things are good, what to do when they're not. What about things we should avoid doing? Common mistakes people make when trying to build rapport.
Oh, there are definitely a few. I think one of the biggest ones is trying too hard.
Oh, yeah. Like being overly eager to please.
Exactly. It can come across as like desperate or inauthentic.
And nobody wants that. What else?
And another big one is dominating the conversation. Talking about yourself nonstop.
Ah, yes, the classic me syndrome.
Right. And it goes back to active listening, being genuinely curious about the other person, letting them share.
It's a two-way street, after all.
It is. And another mistake is being too quick to offer advice.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that.
I think a lot of us are. But sometimes people just need to vent.
To feel heard without being judged or told what to do.
Exactly. And it's so tempting to jump in with solutions, but sometimes just listening is the best thing.
So hard to resist sometimes, though.
It is. And another thing along those lines is interrupting. Ugh, yes, that's the worst. So rude. And it makes the other person feel like they're not being heard.
Totally shuts down the conversation.
It does. So yeah, definitely be mindful of those interrupting habits.
Okay, so we've got trying too hard, talking too much, offering advice, interrupting.
Mm.
What else should we watch out for?
Well, Boothman also talks about body language, nonverbal cues.
Oh, yeah, those unspoken signals.
Exactly. And he says it's crucial to be aware of our own body language and the other person's.
So, like, if I'm saying I'm interested, but my arms are crossed.
Yeah, that's sending a mixed message. And then paying attention to their cues. Are they leaning in? Are they fidgeting?
It's like becoming a body language expert.
Kind of. It's about reading those subtle signs.
This is also fascinating. It makes you realize how much goes into communication, even without us realizing it.
It does. And it's not about becoming some kind of like manipulative master communicator.
Right, not trying to trick people.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
about using these tools to be more genuine, more effective in your interactions.
Like enhancing your natural abilities.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive into Boothman's work, I think it's important to remember that building rapport is a journey, not a destination.
That's a great point. It's not like you learn a few tricks and you're done.
Right. It's about constantly learning, growing, adapting.
Absolutely. And on that note, a huge thanks to you for joining me on this deep dive into Nicholas Boothman's How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. It's been a fascinating look at the art of connection.
It has. I hope our listeners have picked up some valuable insights they can use in their own lives.
Me too. And remember, building rapport is a skill. You can learn it, practice it, get better at it. So go out there, experiment, have fun, and connect.
Exactly. And if you could go back to the beginning of this deep dive, knowing what you know now, what's one technique you'd be most excited to try out in your own life?
Ooh, that's a good one. Really makes you think about putting all these ideas into action.
It does. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present, authentic, and open to those connections.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll say goodbye for now. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep connecting.